the birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution. From Cowork 591 Studios, we are the Bohemian Reformation, and this is the Steve Brown Art Center Podcast Network with producer Blake Tempus and co-host Dale Rueber. I'm Jim Gillespie, and this is the Jesup News for September 16th, 2024. Tonight, we are sponsored by Mickey D's Pizza and Lobster. Mike and his family are kind sponsors and been very kind to us through our first 100 shows. Mike's been on a number of times, and hopefully he is on our 100th show, but they are our main sponsor, and thanks to the Farrells and thanks to Mickey D's Pizza and Lobster. Tonight we're going to talk about my Uncle Jack. We're going to talk about the Tim Kemmerer event at the Independence Farmers Market. We're going to talk about the presidential election. I pulled Dale away from the debate to come and do the podcast tonight. We're going to look at the Jesup News. We're going to talk about upcoming shows. We're going to look in detail at universal basic income, and we're going to have a weekly update of the Steve Brown Arts Center. The Steve Brown Arts Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has a vision for artists, young and old alike, to have the opportunity to better themselves while helping to build the skills of those around them. The long-range vision is to house rural artist residency program for professional and emerging artists in all areas of the art and the humanities. Artists will be offered accommodations and studio space in exchange for a contribution of labor and maintenance of the buildings and grounds. Dale, let's talk about the debate first, since you came directly from that.
Well, I saw the first 55 minutes,
which is better than half of it.
Yeah.
How are things going?
Well, they're both saying what you thought they would say. I thought that Vice President Harris is holding up very well, and she's getting her digs in, and it's bothering him some. And so he's going to some of his rambling points, like there's millions and millions and millions of immigrants from all over the world coming into our country committing crimes, and that immigrants eating the pets in Ohio off on tangents like that, which I think from all reports, his advisors want him to just stick to topics, to policies, and not get into all that personal stuff. And where even the moderators are having to correct by saying, well, what you just said, this is what really happened, or which I don't think they want to do, but I don't think they can let it just go out without saying that's not what really happened.
Right.
And she is talking about, the riots when after the last election, and about him supporting those Proud Boys and the rioters, or the people who were going after the Jewish people. It was in South Carolina, and how he supported what she considered to be the bad guys. And so she also brought up all his felony convictions, and she also said that she came up from a middle-class family, whereas he received $400 million from his father when he graduated, and then he went bankrupt 6 times. And he said, I never got $400 million. He didn't say how much he gave. He said, it wasn't $400 million. He didn't mention the bankruptcy. So I think, and a lot can happen this, but I thought he was back on his heels a little bit, that he was on the defensive and she was on the offense was what it looked like to me. And so, and I realize I'm biased and that sort of thing too, but that's the impression I got. It'd be interesting to see what all the pundits have to say after it's all over.
I was listening on the radio as I came in, and I thought former President Trump was, and this is his seventh presidential debate, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I thought what I listened to up until I got out of the car was his best work. He was trying to be on the message, and he was trying to talk about the issues. Yeah. And sometimes he doesn't always do that. He doesn't stay on the issues. But like you say, she dug at him and sort of wobbled him a little bit, because I could hear it I could even hear it on the radio.
Yeah, it's interesting, and you probably remember this also in the Kennedy-Nixon debate. The people who saw it on television thought that Kennedy won by a landslide, and the people who listened to it on the radio thought that Nixon won. It was the visual was very important in that case, and it's that way somewhat tonight because you could see that she was almost amused by some of the stuff he was saying because it was, in her opinion, so far out there, and he is not smiling much at all. So I mean, that makes a difference, you know. It's you heard it on the radio, you had a different impression than I did, and so that's probably still very true. What you see and what you hear, how they can come across differently.
I caught something on there that sort of surprised me a little bit. It was I thought they turned the microphones off when they weren't talking.
I was surprised by that too.
And I caught Harris talking when Trump was talking, and that's one of the reasons Biden made that deal. So it was.
So I don't know. They're not doing that very well.
No, anyway, they're not.
But they still, you know, these debates are important. But you know, like they asked specifically, say, okay, you have this plane, you're going to deport 1 million immigrants or whatever. And he said, how are you going to do that? And he ran all around, never even got close to answering the question. And the other side will do that also. If they want to make another point about something that was said earlier, or they don't want to answer that question, they talk all around it, but they never specifically answer the question. And those moderators don't put their feet to the fire and say, no, hey, how are you going to do that? You know, and you didn't answer that. But they always let them off the hook. And so I always feel bad about that because I like those questions to be answered instead of just hearing more of the general stuff instead of the specifics they may have.
We go through this with a podcast. They're in a big hurry. You know, they're going. You know, they have 90 minutes, and
they got their points they want to get.
They have their points, and I noticed that same thing because I listened how he's going to round up 11 million illegal refugees, and he attacked the current administration. He did not give an answer. Which would be real hard. He said the one thing he did say was that he's going to use the local law enforcement to do that. Well, we have one law officer on duty. We don't, at a time. Sometimes two. Sometimes. I'll get home at midnight or something from working, and usually that law enforcement officer's on one side of the town or the other.
Sure.
I mean, I can't imagine. We can't afford, with our current budget to look for illegals in our town.
No, and plus the fact that how do you find out? I mean, you have to have probable cause, and just looking like you're from South America is not probable cause to stop somebody and start questioning them, as far as I know. And I should have looked this up. I've talked about this before. They talk about using the Army and everything. I don't think you can use federal troops for domestic problems.
You can't.
You can use the National Guard, but I don't think you can get the Army and the Marines to patrol the cities or to arrest people this way. I don't think that's legal, but I don't have specific chapter and verse, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But
but he has the governors on his side. Abbott has used National Guard down in Texas. DeSantis has flown illegal aliens out of Florida. Our own governor has used highway patrolmen and National Guard
to go to Texas.
Texas. So there's ways around that.
But as far as getting the generals together and saying we want the 101st Airborne to start patrolling New York City, I don't think you can do that.
No.
I think that's against the law because the one thing you do not want is the generals taking over.
No.
In our country, that's we want civilian control, and so I don't know. I should delve into that more carefully instead of just spouting off on something I remember from years ago.
Well, let's look at the Electoral College, and let's go back to the 2020 election. If you remember, in the 2020 election, it was a big turnout. It was 81,284,000 for Biden, 74,224,000 for Trump. And I heard Trump say this in tonight's debate. He is the president that got the most votes ever. The sitting president that got the most votes ever. In an election.
But his opponent got even more votes. He didn't mention that part.
No, he didn't. Well, and here's the other thing. You go back to 20, and Biden's people worked real hard to get people out to vote. I'm not seeing Harris do that.
Yeah.
You know, the Democrats had a tough enough time getting their ducks in a row, getting her legally set up to be their candidate.
Yeah.
And well, not really legally. I mean, anybody can be the candidate, but to be the Democrat,
Yeah, to run,
candidate.
for that party to go through the convention and follow their rules as far as nominating someone.
Yeah, because it would be, if it was a law, it'd be real easy Trump to fight it. But Today in Iowa, there were 3 third-party candidates fighting.
To get on the ballot.
Yeah.
And that's at the Supreme Court, Iowa Supreme Court, and they're under a deadline too because they got to be printing these ballots pretty soon.
Yeah.
So those judges have to make up their mind in a hurry. So
They do. But
I thought it was interesting that in Florida, they went to the Supreme Court to get the abortion issue on the ballot. And the Supreme Court said, yes, it has to be on the ballot in Florida, the state Supreme Court.
Right.
And so that'll be, because the states that have voted on it so far have been more liberal than you might think. You know, Kansas and that sort of thing, where they have, said like 6 weeks is not enough time and that sort of thing. So,
it is one thing I'm going to say here. Trump is sharper than people give him credit for. Getting those 3 justices on to end abortion.
Yeah.
It didn't really. He doesn't call it ending abortion. What he calls is allowing the state to control abortion.
Yeah.
And he said, to his credit tonight, which he hasn't bowed to the extreme right. He said, first off, 85% of Republicans believe that abortion is correct if the mother's in peril, if the baby, what were the other 2?
Well, rape and incest.
Yeah.
And the life of the mother.
So he's not necessarily extreme on that.
Yeah.
The money behind him is.
Yeah.
And that's what sometimes, he's going to be in trouble a little bit for the money, with the money people for saying that.
Yeah. Because he changed his mind in a hurry. He said he was going to vote in Florida to extend the 6-week whatever, and then the next day he said, no, I'm not going to vote for that. And so, somebody talked to him and said, no, you can't be doing that. And so, so they are subject to the whims of other people, even though they're very powerful themselves.
Well, in that 6-week ban, isn't that what Iowa is too, basically?
Yeah, Iowa 6 weeks.
Yeah. The heartbeat of the baby.
I don't think in Iowa the people can have an initiative to get it on the ballot.
No.
I don't think in our state we can do that.
No,
so
we can't.
It has to go through the legislature. It's the only way. So
if we want it on the ballot, it has got to go through the legislature 2 years in a row.
Yeah. That'd be for a constitutional convention.
Yeah.
To do that. But I mean, as far as just getting it on the ballot, like in California, they have those propositions every year about, and some of them are just crazy. But if you get so many people to sign a petition, they have to put it on the ballot. Right. Well, Iowa doesn't have that. You can get all the people you want to sign, but they don't have to put it on if they don't want to.
That's why, and I always used to tell my students this. In Iowa, petitions are worthless. I mean, there's no value in them. You can sign all the petitions you want.
Yeah.
So
that's very true.
All right, let's go through them here, Dale. The six battleground states.
And are they the same this year as in 2020?
They are. Well, they are. They're Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina.
Okay.
For some reason, North Carolina isn't on here for a battleground state.
Okay.
But it was close. It should be. There it is. Yeah, it was close. It's a battleground state. Trump won it, though. That's why it's not on here.
Okay.
So, all right, let's start with North Carolina. Who's going to win North Carolina?
Well, I don't know.
Trump won it last time by 1.3 percentage points.
Yeah. And I would say he'll probably take it again because those people, well, I shouldn't say those people, but people in that area of the country are pretty staunch.
The evangelicals.
Yeah. I think they would probably not change their mind.
Okay, let's stay in the South, and I'll agree with you. Trump will win North Carolina. Let's stay in the South, go to Georgia.
Well, I think Biden won that last time, right?
Yeah, he won that. He won that by 3/10 of a percentage point.
And the way they've gone after the people the election officials and everything, I would say that they will stay with the Democrat again. With Harris, because they should have their backup. The way they were treated, the way their state was treated.
Trump went after the governor. I forget the governor's name down in Georgia, and the governor is a Republican. Mm-hmm. And he, although the governor isn't burning any bridges, I don't think he would be disappointed if Trump lost Georgia.
Yeah.
There's no love lost between the two.
Yeah.
So
he's not a lovable guy in many ways, because if you don't stay with him right down the line, then he goes after you. Mm-hmm. And I keep thinking about J.D. Vance, in the Marine Corps, it's all about working with your buddy and, the man beside you. And the way Trump treated Pence shows you that he's not maybe going to take care of you when things go a little wrong. He's going to turn on you. Well, and so that might be different for Vance.
Well, Vance went through it tonight. They asked on the debate, I forget what the issue was, and the moderator said, well, Senator Vance said this.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And I forget what the issue was. Well, Trump said...
I never told him that.
I never told him that, yeah.
I think probably Vance was just assuming that would be his position, even though apparently it wasn't.
Right.
So,
all right, let's go. Let's stay in the South. Let's go to Arizona. The prognosticators say if Trump wins, or if Harris wins Georgia, if it's over. Mm-hmm. That she'll win the election.
Yeah.
But let's go to Arizona. It was Biden won by 4/10 of a percentage point. Mm-hmm. Then
so it's still very close. It's
11,000 votes.
Yeah. It all depends what they believe about the border issue, probably in Arizona. But I think the bigger, like Phoenix and that sort of thing, are more Democrat, and they have the population, a huge population break over those other small cities. I would say with that senator they have, he was married to the gal that got shot, and he was an astronaut. Yeah. They voted him in, so I will give Harris that state too.
I see a major Hispanic state there today, a major Catholic state there, anti-abortion. I'm going to give it to Trump.
Okay.
So Trump wins Arizona, takes that back. All of a sudden, it's a little closer now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we've got Trump winning North Carolina, Arizona, Harris winning Georgia. Let's go to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is a tough one too. That's I very geographical, but that's far enough north. You would think that Harris would win that. That's more of an industrial state than the other two, though there's a lot of farmland, that sort of, in western Pennsylvania too. But I don't know, just on a guess, I would give that to Harris.
I would agree. So if Harris wins both Pennsylvania and Georgia, that's 20 electoral votes there and 16 electoral votes in Georgia. We go to Arizona, that's only 11 there and 15 in North Carolina. She goes ahead in the race by about eight electoral votes. We go to Michigan for 16 votes.
Michigan. I was in Michigan just a couple of weeks ago. Drove from clear down south, clear up to the northern part, and there's tons and tons of Trump signs along that interstate and the back roads we were on too. So, but I thought in 2020 I was coming back from Minnesota, and there were Trump signs all through Minnesota and all through Iowa, and ended up losing. So it doesn't mean a lot, but there's a lot of Trump signs in Michigan.
Make the call,
at least in western Michigan. I'll give it to Trump. Because just of the evidence I saw out there, that there are a lot of people that do seem to support him in that state with signage anyway. So
I would agree with you. So Trump goes ahead by eight votes there. We go into Wisconsin for 10 electoral votes. Biden won that in 20.
Yeah, I think Biden will win that, or Harris will win that in Wisconsin.
So now it's even, and then you go. Then it goes to the. Does it go to the House or the Senate?
Oh, for If there's a tie, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think it goes to the House of Representatives.
I think it goes to the House too.
Yeah.
So it goes to the House. The House is controlled by the Republicans
yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
So Trump wins.
Yeah. Well, if they vote their conscience, he does.
What country do you live in? All right. So make the prediction. When you were gone on assignment, Mr. Farrell guest hosted. I surprised him, and I picked Trump to win the election.
Did that surprise him?
It surprised him.
Yeah.
You picked him as well.
Oh.
Who wins the election?
I think she's doing really well tonight. She's coming across very presidential, and I think people are going to see a lot of difference in how she speaks about our country and how he speaks about our country. So I'm going to go with Harris. So
Harris.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, but a nickel on it, or what do you want to do? Glass of beer? I don't care. But
let's bet supper for you and Deb at the place of your choice.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
There's this place in La Crosse, costs an arm and a leg.
There you go. All right. We'll ride bikes up there.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Trying to kill me before we get out of the county. So. Okay.
All right. So this is T Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. I'm Jim Gillespie with Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus. We're at Cowork 591 Studios. Couple of upcoming events. Next week, we are interviewing the candidates for supervisor in Buchanan County, Republican Keith Weiland and Democrat Rick Wolfcool. They'll be in, and we're going to be going live. At least we're going to try to go live.
Yep.
At about 5:15. We're going to try to go 90 minutes. It's not really a debate. We're just going to sit down and talk with them.
Just get information.
Yeah. And we don't want to make things hard for either one of the gentlemen.
And there's one seat up for grabs, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and neither one of these guys is the incumbent, are they?
No.
Yeah.
Ort, Mr. Ort.
Ort is leaving.
Yeah, Ort is leaving after the death of his wife.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So so it's an even Steven race from the start.
It is.
Okay.
It
All right.
is. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah. Would you like to moderate that?
Well, I don't know if I would. I might get into trouble. See.
You won't. You won't.
We should let Blake. He doesn't care about politics. He should moderate it. So.
I don't think that'd work out any better.
So, well, you have to help me though.
I'll be here with you. Yeah.
All right.
I'll be
Okay.
here
All right.
We'll be here.
And then when is that? Next week already?
This is next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. All right.
That's the 18th.
Better start my prep work right away. Huh?
Yeah.
So I know what I'm talking about.
Although it will be recorded
Yeah.
and come out at the normal time, it will be live on the 18th.
And live on what?
Live on YouTube.
On YouTube, okay.
Correct, Blake? Our technical department, our 52 people working in the audio-visual department will help you, correct? All right, thank you. So I look forward to that. And then the 30th. The 30th of October is our 100th show. There will be a number of surprise guests, and that will be a live broadcast. Dale and I will wear our Halloween costume, and probably we'll go trick or treating afterwards.
Sure, yeah.
So
why not?
That's right.
We could fill up Kelly's little candy dish over here for her if we go around town and get some candy for her.
Yeah, Dale, I've got to tell you a story. I believe it's either this week or next week that youth shotgun season opens.
Okay.
For deer hunt.
Yeah.
In our.
So it's time to stay out of the woods,
in our great
right?
state.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've actually walked through the woods going to a fishing hole in my brown, and all at once I hear something, I look, and there's a guy sitting up in a tree with a bow and arrow, and I go, oh, I says, is it deer season already? And he says, yeah. And I said, anybody else around? Yeah, there's somebody over there. So he said, well, I think I'm going to go home. Yeah. So I was wondering I didn't get shot, but I had no idea that guy was up there.
Yep. It becomes a large crowd, but that starts. And the reason I tell you this is that I'd like to tell you my uncles were giant deer hunters.
Okay.
I have deer all around my house. Yesterday, the dog and I were out for a walk, and a large doe ran in front of us. It's wonderful to live in that situation. We were out walking one day a couple falls ago, and I heard a big clapping sound. And I may have told you this story, but I stopped, Sadie stopped, and we looked, and there were two bucks with giant racks on, butting heads.
Sure.
They were fighting.
Yeah.
And they butted heads again. The younger one had about 12 points on. It was a big one, and it was big, but not as big as the older one. The older one had 13, 14. I was trying to count as they were fighting, and the young buck saw Sadie and I standing there and turned toward us and ran by us toward the road, sort of diagonal across the field. And the old one stood there and looked at us. You could tell he was still angry from the fight. And Sadie took a couple steps toward him, and he took some steps towards Sadie. And then I looked over my shoulder, and that young buck was running back toward us. And
you're in the middle.
Yeah, we were in the middle, and Sadie was looking at me like, do I chase him or do we run?
Yeah.
And that young buck ran by, and the old buck ran off into the woods.
Yeah.
But that was one of the neatest things. We were probably 30 yards away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the neatest things I've ever seen. I consider that. And one of the first years I moved out there, I watched a deer give birth out in the field at my house. I mean, I watched her lay down. It was really hot. It was like 90 degrees out. I watched her lay down. I thought, what's she doing? And I was washing dishes. And I looked up, and there was a little fox running around her. I thought, what's that little fox doing running around her? And it was a young deer.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah. I mean, it was one of the greatest memories that I've had living in the country.
Yeah, no, that's great.
But anyhow, my Uncle Jack was a deer hunter during the Depression.
Yeah.
And my mom and her family, Jack and her brothers Ed and Merle and Les and Jake, and they were raised on the Upper Iowa River on the border up by Chester.
I know where Chester is.
Okay. Yeah, so you go through there on your way to fishing.
Yep.
And
Jim Alberts is from there. He grew up there.
That's right.
You know that?
That's right. I did know that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
He went to Chester High School.
Earl Brunner.
Oh, is he from there?
Was from Chester.
I did not know that.
Yes, yes.
He's one of the first guys I met when I moved to Jesup.
Earl.
Old Earl, yeah.
Funny story. Mom knew Earl from growing up, and my mother was engaged to Earl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, before he married, what was his wife's name?
Yeah, very nice lady. I don't remember. Yeah.
But so Mom moved down with me, and so we had moved into a house, and there was problems with the plumbing, and I could always call Earl, and he'd come in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Well, when Mrs. Brunner found out that Mom had moved in with me, Mrs. Brunner came with Earl.
Yeah.
Darlene,
that's
Brunner.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
Nice lady.
Yes, she was.
And
yes,
even
she
at
was.
that age, she was going to keep an eye on him,
Yes,
wasn't
she
she?
was.
Yeah.
Yes. Earl had hands the size of two of my hands.
Yeah.
He'd shake my hand.
Yeah.
And it just encompassed my hands.
Yeah.
But anyhow, they would go hunting, and my Uncle Jack was going to go hunting with a friend of his. You know, it was a Depression time. They were looking for meat.
Yeah.
And they went down the road to an old man down the road. I forget his name. And went in, and Jack said, I'm going to go ask him if we can hunt his land. And the guy came to the door, and Jack said, we'd like to hunt your land for deer. And the guy was really down. He said, well, Jack, I tell you what, you can hunt the deer, but I got this old horse out there. He's about 30 years old, and he's on his last leg, and I don't have the heart to shoot him. Will you please shoot that horse? And Jack said, I can't shoot your horse. I can't shoot a horse. And the guy says, I'm not going to let you hunt my land if you don't shoot that horse. Finally, Jack said, okay. Jack started walking toward the car to get his gun, and that guy was in the car, and he had an idea. he said to his friend when he got to the car, get his gun out, he said, that guy won't let us on his land, and I'm going to shoot his horse. He went and shot his horse in front of his friend.
Yeah.
But it was a Depression time, and I'm sure I don't know if that story really happened, but Jack told me that story.
Uh-huh.
Jack would call our house at all times of the day or night.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, I'd win the race to the phone.
He your mother's brother?
He was my mother's brother.
So my mother had brothers that would call her all the time.
Yeah.
So she was the oldest, and she was always the big sister, I think, even when everybody was older.
Right. So, but anyhow, that was my Uncle Jack Benson. We had a wonderful event. The Steve Brown Arts Center had a wonderful event over at the Independence Farmers Market recently. Tim Kemmerer painted a painting looking upstream.
Okay.
And he donated the painting to the Steve Brown Arts Center.
Okay.
And we want to thank Tim for that. I know Tim is an avid listener, and thank you, Tim. We appreciate that. That was a great day. It was a little cold to start the day.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I took the giant Jenga, and the little kids loved it, and their parents loved watching Tim do the painting.
Sure.
So and we've always wanted to do that. That was this past Saturday. On the 18th, the same day, next Saturday or next Wednesday,
yeah.
The same day as we are going to speak to the supervisor candidates, we are going to show Tim at the Buchanan County Senior Center, along with showing Garrett Ficken.
Okay.
There. Make sure you get out. They're going to have not sirloin steak, ribeye steak sandwiches. They've got enough for 120, and after that, they're just going to serve hamburgers. So get there
early, yeah.
Get there early for the ribeye. That is the 18th. That's this Wednesday if you're listening Monday. Or Tuesday, the 16th or 17th, they're going to have beans, they're going to have potato salad and potato chips, and lemonade and coffee. Stop in. And then the 31st, is it the 31st of October?
Is Halloween.
Is Halloween. I believe that is the night or is it the 28th? What is the day?
The costume contest?
The costume contest.
The 26th of October.
The 26th of October, we're going to have a costume contest.
And that's still kind of up in the air as far as planning goes, right?
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, the 26th is that costume contest. The 30th is the live show. And then go into November, which is actually not that far. November 1st is the chili supper at the Littleton and Chatham Chili Supper.
And we will.
And Tim Kemmerer's at that also.
Yeah, that will be the last event of our first artist in residence for the Steve Brown Arts Center.
Yeah.
Tim has been the perfect first artist in residence.
Yeah.
Respectful, with a lot of gratitude and thankful.
Yeah. Must have been the grocery store. Called over and waved, from the other side. So, yeah.
Dale, what do you have for Jesup news?
Oh, well, a couple of things. Last week, the Jesup City Council had a special meeting, and there's, I guess, 50-some people showed up to talk about the garbage recycling bid. Some of the companies had sent representatives. I know Thomas James and some of the others sent representatives that talked, and then they had several people also spoke for Thomas James. And at the end, I think it was Councilman Cohagen made a motion that they reject all the bids and just keep things the way they are, and that's what the council voted unanimously to do. And so things are just the way they are, which is fine, except it doesn't solve the recycling problem that we have. But it did alleviate a lot of the citizens' concerns about garbage collection, especially with Thomas James being a company that's worked in Jesup for well over 50 years. And so that's the way they did that. But so that's kind of off the table now. And if the mayor's coming, maybe he can talk about if they have a plan to redo the recycling or what they're going to do with that. Because, and I don't know, I've heard that a lot of our recycling from that bin just goes in the regular landfill because it's so polluted with things that shouldn't be in there. Mm-hmm. And if you open the doors to throw stuff in there, you see stuff in there all the time that it says right on the sign, don't do that, but it's in there anyway. So, okay, another park the Veterans Park, if you go by there, you see the dirt work is started. They have kind of a circular shape, would you say, or oval shape?
Yeah, oval shape.
Kind of dug out 6-8 inches or so. It was hard to say, just going by. And so things have started. So I imagine if Fritz Key shows up, he will have some information about that for us too. But it's starting to take shape a little bit. You can kind of see what they have an idea to do, because I know they want to have the memorial, but they also want to have parking space and this sort of thing too off the street. And so that is working. And I saw in the Bulletin Journal our good friend Tony Bankston. Did you see that?
I saw that.
Yeah, he and we get that in the Jesup library too. You'll see on your when you check out a book, you get a little slip of paper and it'll say you have saved so many dollars this year by reading books from the library instead of going out and buying them. And so they had a promotion for that, and they had a picture of Tony on the front page holding up a sign that he'd saved over $4,000 by reading books from the library. And so he looked really good too.
Yeah.
And so so he was in the Bulletin Journal. And I would tell you that the Seabrook Art Center is going to have a live podcast October 30th. That's our 100th show. And Jim mentioned that already, but we're going to have some nice guest stars, some of our favorites, and people that we've interviewed in the past that are going to have said they will be able to be here. Mm-hmm. So that'll be nice. And so also there's a little library news. The September Spice. You ever use basil? Fresh basil. It's those little leaves. You put a basil leaf in your chili or your beef stew. You used to put basil leaf in that while it was simmering. And you got to take the leaf out before you don't want to eat it. But it gives it a nice flavor. And so fresh basil is the spice for September. And Monday, Wednesday, Friday, remember they still have the exercise with friends, and we all need to exercise more. It's at 8 a.m., goes about 45, 50 minutes, and they use exercise videos, try to keep those fresh so that you don't use the same one all the time, and so it's an interesting thing. Thursday at 10:30, now the school started. More important than ever, probably the Little Tot Story Time is on Thursdays at 10:30, and they do a great job with that. And then September 16th, the day this comes out, the Jesup Library Book Club will discuss the End of Your Life Book Club. I don't know, by Will, I'll say Schwably. Schwably. I don't know how to say it. But it's the End of Your Life Book Club. So you probably won't have time to read the book by 1 o'clock today. Monday, but you could be in tune for the next one. So that's about all I had that's going on in Jesup that I know. I was out of town last week, and I'm sure I'm missing lots of stuff that's going on. But somebody said that the little gluten-free bakery down here is going to be running a lot of promotions and doing some inside things in the coming days.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know where you would get a list of that, but they're going to have some, I think like a bingo game inside and this sort of thing.
Yeah, I did see that advertised.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yep.
And sales on certain things, and so you have to bring your own gluten, though, if you go there, because they have no gluten for you. So, have you eaten anything from there yet?
I haven't.
I haven't either, and I keep thinking I should try it out. And I have a sister-in-law that's all gluten-free. I thought, well, that was something I could take to her, get a half a dozen cinnamon rolls or whatever. I don't know what they have, but they're doing some things there in that little business.
They are. Maybe we can have a show in there some night.
Yeah, I don't know how much space is in there.
I don't know. We have to go in there. One of us have to go in there, Dale.
Well, I'll volunteer to go eat a cinnamon roll. I know you won't, but I'll be glad to do it.
An update on the End of Your Life Book Club is a memoir by Will Schwabe about his mother, Mary Ann, who was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer after returning from a humanitarian aid trip.
Oh, okay.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
I'm not reading it. I'll cry. I'm
it's very interesting because a young girl from Dunkerton, 24, was killed in a one-car accident, and they said that she was probably with hydroplaning. And my wife went to the funeral. She had this girl in her last class, and so very touching funeral, she said. But it's interesting. She was reading a novel at home then, getting into it, and the girl in that novel was killed in a car that was hydroplaning and ran into the ditch, and that started her crying again, And so it's just interesting how those things happen like that, where the fiction and actual happenings kind of coincide just by fate. But so I thought that.
Well, when we talked with Dion, we talked about things like that, using the similar stories.
Oh, yeah, you would have to, because I'm still amazed by her, how she can keep 3 or 4 different things going at the same time and keep that thought process separate and come up with themes and ideas. And because you think how hard it'd be to write a mystery book, as far as, okay, you got to give all these characters, get all these clues, and how do you line them up so that people think they know but they don't really know, and then on the last chapter you figure, okay, John is the killer. I always thought that'd be very hard to line all that stuff up and give all those little false leads and everything. And so for her to be able to do that, it's just fantastic. We got a nice call from Eric Frank in Lake City.
Okay.
He listened to that show, thought that was really an excellent show.
Oh,
and I had a couple people tell me they thought it was one of the best shows we had done. That the interview went really, really well with her.
Yeah,
and
it did. She was so well spoken.
Well, yeah, and
taught a couple old dogs new tricks, actually.
Well, you can tell just from listening to her talk that's why she's able to keep all those things juggled, because she's very organized and her time is to the minute through the day. She's doing this for this 25 minutes and then this for an hour and this and that. And then she still has her studying that she's doing. She's taking that class and everything, trying to get her master's. And so I'm afraid we will never be that organized.
I'm leaving on a trip in about 6 hours, and I haven't packed yet, Dale. So you're right.
Yeah. So,
you're right.
And take all your underwear, remember. Yes, it is. And pack your underwear and your socks first. See, make sure you have enough of that. So.
All right. We're going to talk about the universal basic income another day. The show is running a little long here. But we want to remind you of the live show this coming week on the 18th at about 5:15 with Democrat Rick Wolfcool and Republican Keith Weiland. Please listen in. And we'll go about 90 minutes. It's not really a debate. It'll be a discussion. And we'll give both gentlemen a chance to talk about their vision for Buchanan County.
Yeah. And you think about it, there's just 3 of them, and they have a lot of money to spend every year.
Yeah.
The supervisors do. And it's not a real big topic, as far as I know, for most people about what the supervisors do, unless something doesn't get done. But they have a lot of say over how a lot of our money is spent.
I believe, Dale, that the supervisor is the highest paid elected official in Buchanan County.
Oh, okay.
I can't think of anybody elected official in Buchanan County.
I'm sure there are people that work. Not that they don't work, but
right.
But it's almost, they're there almost all the time, aren't they? Aren't they on? It's not like a part-time just show for meetings job. I think they're there a lot in the courthouse.
Well,
we can find that out next week, but more about it.
I'll give you Dawn Vogel as an example. We have that show at the Buchanan County Senior Center, and she's on the committee for that.
Yeah.
I'm on the committee on the Buchanan County Tourism Committee, and she's on that committee.
Yeah.
It's constant meetings.
Yeah.
You don't. Your day doesn't start at 8 and go till 5. They're just starting their day.
Yeah, had to be really dedicated and want to serve.
Yeah,
I think to do that kind of job.
Yeah, so. I do think, I really believe, and I may be wrong, but I think a number of supervisors, although Leo Donnelly wasn't this way, but a number of people that are supervisors in Buchanan County have went on to be higher office holders.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
Okay. I couldn't say. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to look back at that. Maybe I'm confused. It's I believe it's paid over $50,000 a year.
Okay.
Almost paid as well as we pay Blake. Here.
Yeah. Geez.
So all right. Don't forget the C. Brown Arts Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and if you'd like to donate to the SBAC or have an idea for an event, go to the stevebrownartscenter.org and follow the link. If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@stevebrownartscenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. We'd like to do a shout out to board member Kara Masteller as she got married this past weekend.
Okay.
Married Mahmoud, and they live They live in a suburb of Los Angeles. Congratulations, Mahmoud and Kira.
Were they going to move out east then? Did you tell me that one time they were thinking that, or
They have changed their plans
okay.
as of late.
Okay.
I don't think they want me to say over the air.
Oh, well, that's fine. I just
yeah.
remember you saying that that she would be moving
Yeah.
to New England or something. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
she's talking. I'm Jim Gillespie with Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus. Before I forget, we're going to have a musical guest on our 100th show as well. Someone that has been on before. As always, thanks to Kelly C. Haas for allowing us in here this late at night. And we promised to put our toys away, Kelly. Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs into your day. And remember, each day is about little victories.